All right, Manisha, thank you very much for joining us and helping us understand the impact, of course, that we can really have. So clearly a sigh of relief for many salaried employees, which of course got worried after this proposal came in the budget. Harshroongta, investment advisor and founder, Harshroongta.com, is also joining us on the phone line. Thank you very much, Mr. Roongta, for being with us on NDTV. Your first reaction now this withdrawal has come in as far as EPF tax proposal to tax EPF is concerned. How would you react?
So I think that is a good move. This obviously was not popular, and I don't think the government had thought this through. So very clearly, I think withdrawing this was the only option left to them that was politically defensible. As I think Manisha was saying, the big issue is where does that leave NPS? The government is also committed to equating NPS and TPS. EPS, I'm sorry, and with only 40% exemption available for NPS, it will continue to be a poor cousin to the EPF, and therefore any portability dreams will really have to wait till a equitable tax treatment is given to both the instruments.
Right, Mr. Roongta, when the proposal did come about, taxing 40% of EPF. Now, I wanted to understand, the basis given was that, those with high salaries are enjoying a very big benefit because of this being completely EEE. Now, what do you think the government can do? Because we have heard, even in the economic survey that those with higher salaries need to be taxed more.
Yeah, so I mean, there is a logic that the people who are high salaried and what is high salaried can differ. But there was a provision for exempting the entire EPF amount if the salary didn't exceed a certain limit, which was to be defined. So clearly it was meant to hit the high salaried. The logic there being that a tax break had been allowed to you, and therefore, when you withdraw, if you don't put it in a medium or in a place where the government wants you to put it, then you would have to pay tax on it. I think deferral, it was not an exemption of tax, it was deferring the tax payment. That is a logic that is followed internationally. The only issue with that is that in our tax act, we have other examples. I mean, you look at capital gains on real estate, for example. That is exempt if you invest it in another real estate, and 3 years later you can withdraw it and it is completely tax-free. So, I mean, when somebody who invests capital gains does not pay tax and invests it in a real estate, and if that can be exempted after a short period of 3 years, I think there is equity to say that people who slave all their lives and save some money, they should continue to get the exemption when they retire. I think there is a fair equity to say that.
Right. Mr. Roongta, stay with us. We have Amit Kukreja from Wealth Being Advisors also joining us at this point in time. Mr. Kukreja, thank you very much for being with us here on NDTV Profit. Now, the proposal that was announced in the budget, of course, as far as taxing the EPF, 60% of the EPF is concerned, that has been withdrawn. Good news for the investors?
It is a fantastic news for the investors and end users or individual retail customers, because it had a fundamental flaw in it. The provision of tax and deferring the tax and taking away the choice of how to use that money was a fundamental flaw in the proposal. I'm very happy that the proposal has been withdrawn, and it will definitely make create a lot of cheers for the people who have been using EPF for a very long time.
How would you respond to the argument that was coming in from the government side that the idea, of course, is not to get revenue but to get a pension society, so that people, of course, will have had the benefit to take out 40% of the tax, remaining 60% is 40% of the corpus, remaining 60% is something that they have to invest. For example, if that investment not just into annuity, if some other option was given, would this proposal, would it make sense really? Would it have made sense at that point in time?
See, having a pension type system should be at the end users or customers' discretion. Government should not force it to have a pension product in one's portfolio. For me, if I retire at 60, I would like to have the choice of either taking the money out in a lump sum or using the money in a product that will create pension for me. So the choice should be vesting with me, ideally. And I think in this global world, we should be giving choice to our citizens rather than giving only very limited options. Plus, we have to also look at the comparability of the product, the tax efficiency of the product, the horizon for the monies being funded to grow the corpus in the product. So there are several aspects that need to be compared, and the product need to be made equitable or comparable before we put a pensionable system in it. So in my opinion, giving the choice back to the customer how to use that money is a fantastic thing. I think that's how it should be. Now, whether we want to address how do we tax rich people more, that's a separate conversation. And whether we want to force it to make it a pension-based system, that's a separate conversation. Then we need to look at the entire gamut of products that we have in the financial services space.
Right, and I believe that's exactly the reason that this particular tax proposal has been withdrawn. Many thanks, Mr. Amit Kukreja and Mr. Harshroongta, for joining us here on NDTV Profit and giving us that quick reaction to this withdrawal that has come in from the Finance Minister's side as far as taxing the EPF. 60% of the EPF corpus is concerned. Let's also listen in to what the Finance Minister had to say.